What if your anger here was never your weakness? What if instead it was the one thing trying to wake you up? We've been taught to fear anger, to suppress it, to push it deep down like an unwanted guest. But what if anger wasn't something to get rid of? What if it was a doorway, a signal from something deeper? Nietzsche once wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." Chaos, not peace. Fire, not calm. This isn't a call to rage, but to reframe. What if your fury, your frustration, your deep sense that something is off? What if that's where your strength has been hiding all along? We're not here to eliminate the flame. We're here to learn how to wield it. Friedrich Nietzsche wasn't a man who lived in calm waters. His life was a storm, plagued by illness, rejected by love, misunderstood by nearly everyone. But out of that pain came something extraordinary. His anger became insight. His suffering became philosophy. He didn't run from his emotions. He carved through them like a sword through fog. He turned rage into revelation. He turned rejection into revolution. Nietzsche was not a philosopher of comfort. He was a philosopher of confrontation. And what he confronted first was himself. Through him, we see the path. Anger isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that you're alive, that somewhere in you, something still burns. There is a force within you. Nietzsche called it the will to power. It is not about control, not about domination. It is the will to overcome, to rise, and anger is one of its purest forms. But most people never see this, because they're taught to fear their fire. So it simmers beneath the surface, it poisons the body, it clouds the mind. But anger that is seen, truly seen, can become a bridge, from despair to direction, from chaos to clarity. It is not a mistake that you feel this way. It is not a flaw that you feel too much, it is a sign. There is something within you that refuses to die, something that demands transformation. And like all true transformation, it begins with fire. Anger is raw, wild, unrefined, but like iron in the forge, it can be shaped. Across time, the greatest minds didn't destroy their anger. They transmuted it. The Shaolin monks turned aggression into discipline. The Stoics turned outrage into insight. The mystics turned wrath into compassion. They didn't do this by suppressing what they felt. They did it by feeling it completely, then choosing to rise above it. Anger, when left alone, can destroy. But when met with consciousness, it becomes creation. It becomes poetry, art, purpose. Some of the world's greatest visionaries, Frida Kahlo, Malcolm X, Nina Simone, they turned pain into power. Their fury was never hidden. It was transformed, not erased, not denied, refined. Why are we taught to suppress our anger? Why is silence called mature and passion called immature? Because society doesn't fear your calm. It fears your clarity. Nietzsche saw this. He spoke of slave morality, a morality created not by the strong but by the fearful, a system that labels power as evil and obedience as virtue. If you believe your anger is dangerous, you will never act on what truly matters. You will follow rules, you will stay quiet, you will dim your own light just to fit in. But ask yourself, who benefits from that silence? And who might you become if you stopped apologizing for your fire? Inside you lives a part you've tried to forget, the one that's angry, jealous, vengeful, uncomfortable. You've buried it, named it shame, pretended it doesn't exist. But it does. This is the shadow. Jung saw it. Nietzsche hinted at it, and it holds more power than we're willing to admit, because the shadow is not evil. It is honest. It is the part of you that remembers every time you were silenced, ignored, mistreated. The part that said, no more, and until you face it, it will control you. But if you face it, if you stare into the eyes of the monster, you might realize it's been trying to protect you, not destroy you. The monster is not your enemy. It's the guardian of your truth. What if your anger was pointing the way? What if the things that make your blood boil reveal the very injustice you were born to challenge? Anger doesn't rise for no reason. It rises because something in you knows that this isn't right, knows that something deeper is calling. Trace your anger, not to react, but to reflect. What do you fear speaking aloud? What wrongs do you silently witness? What ache never seems to go away? That is not noise, that is a map. Your anger is not aimless, it is sacred, and it might just be trying to lead you. Home must arise, you must burn. This is the paradox, the death before the rebirth. The ego screams, the identity crumbles, the illusions fall away, and in that fire, something else emerges. Clearer, stronger, whole. You become sovereign, not over others but over yourself. The anger that once controlled you now serves you. You're not cold, you're not detached. You're alive and finally unafraid of your own flame. You are not who you were, and that is your power. So now the question remains, what if your anger could speak freely? What would it say? Would it mourn what was lost? Would it scream for what's been denied? Or would it whisper, "This is who I've been all along"? Anger isn't here to destroy you. It's here to awaken you, to remind you of the voice you buried, the boundary you ignored, the passion you silenced. So let it rise, not as rage, but as revelation. Because when you stop fearing your anger, you begin to remember who you truly are. What if the very thing you've been told to hide was actually the key to your freedom? What if your anger was not a weakness to conquer, but a secret fire waiting to be awakened? We're taught to fear our anger, to suppress it, to silence it. We're told that anger is dangerous, shameful, out of control. But what if that's a lie? What if your anger was never the enemy, but the beginning of something sacred? Nietzsche once wrote, "You must still have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." He didn't fear anger, he respected it, because deep within that chaos is the raw power to change your life. This is not about rage, it's not about violence, this is about energy, the fire inside you that says, enough, the moment you stop apologizing, the moment you rise. In this journey, we will dive into the fire through Nietzsche's eyes, through ancient wisdom, and through the power you've been taught to ignore. This is not just about emotion, this is about transformation, because once you understand what anger truly is, you'll never fear it again. You'll use it, and it will set you free. Friedrich Nietzsche did not write for comfort. He wrote to shake the soul, to burn illusions. He didn't believe in taming emotions. He believed in mastering them. For Nietzsche, anger was not some childish outburst. It was part of the deeper truth of being human, a voice from the core of your will, the will to power. This will to power wasn't about controlling others, it was about overcoming yourself, rising above weakness, turning suffering into strength, and anger was often the spark. Nietzsche saw what most miss, that suppressed anger becomes poison. It turns people into shadows of themselves. Society teaches us to be good, to be polite, to smile through pain. But Nietzsche asked, what does it cost you to play nice with your own truth? He rejected the morality of the meek. He warned of the herd mentality, where everyone hides behind rules, afraid to face the fire inside. He believed that those who dare to feel deeply also hold the power to create deeply. Not everyone can do this, most fear it, but if you can face your inner storm, if you can look at your anger without shame, you will find something few ever do. Direct path to self-creation. Nietzsche didn't want obedient followers, he wanted creators. Rebels, those who could walk through fire and not be consumed. He wanted you to become the fire. Long before psychology, long before Nietzsche, there were the ancient alchemists. They believed every emotion had a purpose, a hidden power. To them, anger was not evil. It was raw material, like lead, waiting to become gold. This was the secret of inner alchemy, transforming base emotions into higher awareness. In Taoism, they teach that anger is like wind trapped inside the body. It can destroy, or it can move mountains. In Tantric Buddhism, wrathful deities aren't demons. They're protectors, expressions of fierce compassion, energy that breaks illusion. Anger is heat, and heat is necessary for transformation. In these ancient systems, suppression was never the answer. Instead, they taught, feel it, face it, transmute. Nietzsche didn't speak in these mystical terms, but his message was the same. You are not here to avoid emotion. You are here to use it, to become something more. The great lie of modern life is that peace comes from calmness, but real peace doesn't come from avoiding fire. It comes from walking through it. Think of a sword. Before it becomes strong, it must be forged, hammered, heated, reshaped. Anger is that forge, but only if you're willing to step inside. So here's the question: will you run from the fire, or will you become the alchemist? It's not anger that destroys you, it's what happens when you bury it. Repressed anger is like a volcano, silent on the surface, but trembling beneath.